Good evening, everybody. Welcome to this Around the Ropes episode right here on the Around the Ropes YouTube channel. Guys, you know who I am. You guys know where to find us. I'm going to dispense with all the fucking pleasantries because we got a lot of shit to get to tonight. Guys, we've been talking about it now for the longest time. We are now a few days away from WrestleMania 40 happening in Philly. And I will be down in Philly this coming Friday and Saturday, which I'll get to that in a bit. But before we get into all that, and also, like I said, folks, we do have two guests joining us tonight. At 8:30, Mike Raimondi, I'm going to butcher his last name, the guy who always dressed up as Dusty Rhodes will be joining me at 8:30, as we'll be giving you our predictions for WrestleMania 40, which I still can't fucking believe it's already happening. At 8 p.m., owner and promoter of Battleground Championship Wrestling, which they do a lot of their shows out of the 2300 Arena, Timothy Embler, will be joining us ahead of their big weekend, which includes two shows on Friday, a block party on Friday, and also two watch-along parties on Saturday and Sunday, which, by the way, folks, you're not going to want to miss that part because when we get into the watch-along party for Saturday, there's a little bit of an announcement that will be made for that. So we got all that, but I want to briefly touch on what happened this past weekend over at Ace Pro Wrestling. Yes, guys, Ace Pro Wrestling presented Destined for Greatness happened this past Saturday. What a show. However, with that being said, I want to start off with the positives before I get into the negatives, because there was a few little negatives I noticed. I want to talk about the main event. Now, if you guys remember, it was announced on our podcast probably 2-3 weeks ago that the main event of Destined for Greatness was the Ace World Heavyweight Champion Rick Recon taking on the All-Father Darius Carter. Well, it just so happened that my next two interviews right after that happened were with Rick Recon and Darius Carter. And guys, I'm going to tell you right now, it lived up to its potential. I posted something about this on Facebook on Saturday while I was at the show, that basically all it would end up being is, just give me 1 second, guys, because guest of mine, hang on 1 second. Actually, you know what? Let me do this. I have a short video here of the match between Rick Recon and Darius Carter that happened this past weekend at Ace. I want you guys to enjoy it because, like I said, unfortunately with Ace, they do not stream. And I don't know when this match will actually air. So here's about a minute or so of what happened on Saturday in the main event.
Stop the count. One, two, three. I got time. Stop it.
Oh, okay. Apparently I am back now. I didn't know the video ended so quickly. But guys, you saw it in that video, and what a match those two had between Rick and with Darius. I mean, those two told the story. And I said this to both of them afterwards. I want them to redo that. I want them to, run that match again at some point down the road. Because, like I said this to Rick when I saw him after the show. And I've seen him now wrestle. Obviously, I've seen him wrestle for ISPW the most, but in the times I've seen him wrestle, and I'm talking about when he's taking on guys like Crowbar and those guys, and even John Van Decker, who, friend of the show over from the Front Row Mafia, even he said it. Probably Rick's best match he's ever had in his career. Like the fact that it was, I think you can make the argument could be made that it was match of the year contender. But I want to get to the rest of the show because the match I want to look at now, and I'm going to be a little critical here, is the Fatal 4-Way match, which was for the Fight for Flight title. Now, I don't know what happened in this match. I don't know where it went wrong, but you can easily tell that these guys didn't have the chemistry. And you could easily tell that there was botches up and down the galore. There was one spot I remember, I don't remember who it was. Irish whipped him. It was supposed to be like he was supposed to try to go over the top rope, and they had to do a double take of it. It was bad. It was really, really bad. And I've been to probably 3 or 4 Ace shows in the last year or so. Obviously, I know Ace wasn't around for a good stretch of time. Just give me 1 second, folks. I'm just sharing the show so more people can watch tonight. But in the matches I've seen of Ace, this one probably, and I hate to say it, and I hate saying this about Ace because like I said, I have nothing but respect for Ace. Ace is a very underground company and whatnot. However, this match was probably one of the worst ones I have seen. Again, I hate saying it. And I don't want people who are watching this, who may watch this now or watch this on the replay, sit there and say, oh, he's shitting on the product. No, I'm not shitting on the product, okay? I'm just a guy who is a fan of this crazy sport, who wants to see things done right. And if there's a match that isn't done right, now I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, this match sucked. No. I will just say though that if a match isn't good, I will turn around and make it apparent that it's not good. But I'm not going to turn around and shit on it completely. And so we have that. We also have, just give me 1 second, just finishing this up. So like I said, we had that. I'm trying to think of anything else big. The only other stuff that really comes to mind from the Ace show on Saturday was, first of all, there was no women on the card, which I was very, well, also a lot of them were at NYWC. That's why, because they had their show Aftermath as well. So, it was kind of tough. But I will say this much. You had the tag match with Merck and I'm forgetting the guy's name, taking on the Suos, I think they are. And I thought the match was decent. It was good. The opening match, which saw Dino take on Rob Vegas, I said this to Ryan, afterwards on our way home. I said, that match really didn't have anything to write home on. Yeah, it was a good match. I'm not taking anything away. I think Rob Vegas is a legend when it comes to Ace Pro Wrestling. I mean, the guy's been there since the freaking dawn of time. But it was really like, wasn't like I'm sitting here going, oh, you got to go back. No, there was really nothing big with that match. And that's the one thing, it's kind of the positive and the negative of indie wrestling is you're going to get your matches that are good. I'm not taking that away. You're going to get your matches that are good. You also get sometimes where, because especially with a lot of these indie companies, you have to realize they don't have weekly TV. So it's not like they can turn around and say, oh, we're going to, have a weekly show. So, they got, no. A lot of times, if you have a guy or a gal who works for one specific company, a lot of times they may only be working once every couple of months. I mean, granted, yes, there are some companies out there that run, it seems like once a month or once every 2 weeks, it seems like. But for the most part, companies usually run once every couple months. Like I know, great example, and I'm gonna use Dynasty as the example here. Dynasty did a show in February. Their next show is April 27th, Brace for Impact, which I'm going to get to that in a second because we have a programming note coming up with that. And then they got their next show after that would be June 1st, I think, like early June. Then you got your show in June 29th. So a lot of it's that's what it's going to come down to for a lot of it. And then on the other hand, so, with Ace, I never understood, and maybe next time I have Mike Morgan on or even Cheyenne on, I'll ask him this question, but why they never decided to stream. Because I noticed that with Ace and with Dynasty, but more with Ace than anything, is it almost seems like they break each match into an episode or each couple matches. So again, I don't know the reason behind it, but like I said, next time I have Mike Morgan on or I have Cheyenne on, I'll definitely ask him that. But I'm not, as far as overall with that show, it was decent. I'm not going to take away from it. I mean, the empanadas were awesome, but that's Ace Pro Wrestling. They're known for the empanadas. But again, guys, if you're watching and you would like to leave any comments, you definitely can leave comments. This is how you will be able to interact with me. In about 4 minutes from now, 4 minutes from now, the one and only Timothy Embler will be joining the program to discuss what's going on this weekend with the Battleground Championship Wrestling. And it's going to be a crazy weekend for them, to say the least. It's going to be an insane weekend. You're going to have 80,000 people coming to Philly. I know some of them started heading down there today. And I know I'm going down as of Friday morning. But I know I'm only staying until Saturday, so I'm not making a whole thing out of it. But Battleground is doing 2 shows. They're doing a show on Friday at 1 p.m., which actually, I think I have said a poster for. Yep, I do actually. So on the left-hand side, they have Born to Die, that is their first show happening at 1 o'clock at the 2300 Arena. Then on the other side, well, you have a Black Party in between. So you have the Born to Die, which will be at 1 o'clock. Then you have the Black Party, which I think starts at 4 or 4:30. I got to ask Tim when he's on with me. And then at night, you have the Tribute to the Extremes, which I think that honestly, and I hate to say this, it might compete with WrestleMania with the matches that he has. And we'll go over all that stuff in a second, or when Tim joins me in a couple minutes. But the fact that I'm gonna have the opportunity to be there for both for Friday and Saturday is mind-blowing. And it's an incredible feeling. And I said this before numerous amount of times since the announcements were made, that I'm grateful. I never thought an opportunity like this would ever come my way. And it's an incredible feeling. And like I said, I didn't get here on my good looks, because trust me, folks, I don't look like a GQ model. I look like a model that just came out of the Bronx Zoo. I'm just saying. But like I said, folks, we just waiting for Tim to join us, and we'll start going over what's going on this weekend. Plus, folks, like I said, we do have an announcement to make as well, because I keep mentioning how I'm going to be there on Saturday. And when Tim joins us in a matter of moments, I will discuss how, or what I'm doing Saturday night. So, but as far as get a chance to be down there this weekend, like I said, it's an incredible feeling. And There's a ton of matches happening, ton of excitement. I mean, you're also talking about, I mean, we always talk about, hollow grounds, and there's not many arenas anymore that are considered hollow grounds that are, whatchamacallit, that are still operational. Let me put it that way. Obviously, you have the Sportatorium down in Dallas that I think closed up a number of years ago. You have Corrigan Hall in Japan, which I know is still around. But in the States, I mean, what do you have really? You have the Rosemont Center, the Rosemont Arena in Chicago. You have MSG over here in New York City. You have, I mean, for a while you had the Astrodome down in Houston, but the Astrodome was really known just for WrestleMania 17. Trying to think here. That was like hollowed, but that's really it though. And then you get the ECW arena, and the fact that the ECW arena is still functional. Yeah, and that's what I was trying to. I just want to go to the. Hold on 1 second. Give me a second here. But yeah, like I said, it is. Hold on. Give me a second, because for some reason we are live tonight, also in the Around the Ropes group, and for some reason I still don't understand why, but Facebook does not allow the user's name to come up if they're in. Oh, our buddy Randy from the Front Row Mafia chimes in and goes MSG. Yeah, that's what makes those grounds so hollowed. Is that? Hold on 1 second here. A friend of mine, Rolly, chimes in here going, "Hey, bro, how you doing, Rolly?" I'm doing great. I'm doing fantastic. I'm doing stupendous. Just bear with me 1 second, though, because it seems like our guest is having difficulty. Oh, okay, never mind. So we should be in here any second now. And yeah, and then we'll make the first of many big announcements. Rolly, I appreciate that, man. And like I said, as far as with the ECW arena, those are hallowed grounds. Those are some of the biggest moments in pro wrestling history happen in that building. I know they've renovated over the years, because from what I've heard, stories, the building doesn't look the same like it did 30 years ago. But the funny thing is the fact that, it's 30, ECW closed in 01, so we're talking 20 something years now, and we're still talking about ECW. It's incredible, the moments that happen in that building. The fact that that building is still operational, and we are now being joined by the owner, promoter, Battleground Championship Wrestling, the man who will basically, I think, should just have a bed at the 2300 Arena this weekend. The one and only Timothy Ambler. Tim, how you doing tonight?
What's up, man? What's up? Good to be here. Good to be here. Around the Ropes podcast, the official podcast of Battleground Championship Wrestling. This coming up Friday at WrestleMania weekend. It's going to be quite amazing. It's I'm really happy to be here. Thank you for having me, John. Take it away, my friend.
Absolutely. First thing I want to get to, I know you've had your announcements the last couple of weeks. When you finish up the announcements last night, knowing that the next step is Friday, what's going through your mind, being that we're so close to the event on Friday?
I would say a lot of anticipation. When this was announced, this whole WrestleMania thing in Philly was announced probably a year ago, and from that very moment, my phone lit up as far as like, what are you gonna do? What's gonna happen, and all this stuff that was going on. And I didn't really start thinking about it maybe until 6 months after that, knowing the pressure of, there's 1,000 companies running down there this weekend. But as far as I'm concerned, Battleground Championship Wrestling is Philadelphia. I mean, the 2300 is our home. And companies, the only other companies that run there are companies that have $1 million backers. Then you got Impact, who runs there, who's got a corporation behind them, and you have MLW's got TV behind them, and New Japan runs there, who's a $1 million company, and then here we are, little mom and pop Battleground, who somehow or another outdraws them all. Not New Japan, but so I knew that coming up, I knew we had to do something special. I knew we had to do something to get people talking and to do our city proud. And what could we do to make the city of Philadelphia more proud than keep the flame alive of the revolution of the Extreme? And I've done a tribute to the Extreme before, and this one's part two, but this one is a little more special just because of the nature and where it's at. So, and as far as that being said, and all the friends and mentors I've made, like Todd Gordon and Bill Alfonso and all the guys that I've meaning all the people I've gotten close to doing that, and I don't take that lightly. That means a lot to me. I'm just as proud as the afternoon show, if not more proud. Now, I haven't sold it out yet, but it's getting close. It's getting close to a sellout for the afternoon show. And that's all Battleground. And that, to me, shows me that the people, the fans, care just as much about Battleground as they did ECW. And that's saying a lot when you can put that many people in a Battleground show, and not the most ideal time. 1 o'clock in the afternoon on a Friday, there's a lot of fans that come around, but our regular fans, they have jobs. So, maybe they got the day off or whatever, but that's a tough time slot at 1 p.m. on a Friday. But it looks like we're going to do it. I don't know if it's going to sell out officially, but it's damn near close. And I'm very, very proud of that. So I feel honored to be able to stand in the shadow of ECW and keep the lineage alive. And I feel extremely proud of the locker room and everybody that has puts a hand, from the people who set the ring up to all the way through to the sound people to the building, all of it. I'm very, very, very proud, and I'll reflect on that after everything's all said and done on Monday. But going into it, very proud.
Well, I want to talk about that first show, which, like you said, starts at 1 p.m. Now, if you're not in the area, are fans able to watch it, or are you guys streaming it? Or, okay.
Yeah. Both shows are going to stream on Title Match Network. I have the if you go to my official Facebook page or the Battleground Facebook page or the Instagram, the links will all be posted. They're posted now, but I'm going to post them much more like as we lead up into it. But they're on Title Match Network, both of them. You can stream both of them live. So if you can't make it to Philly, then you can definitely watch it. Absolutely.
Now, I want to look first at the first show, the one that the one that's happening at 1 o'clock. Is there one match in particular on that first show that you're looking forward to, as sitting and saying, okay, that I can't believe this match is actually happening?
Well, there's one match that I'm involved in that has a lot. There's a lot on the line. So I don't know if anybody out there follows it, though. My nemesis, all the people that I've named that I'm really happy that I've met through ECW and got to know. There's one person on the other side that I'm not quite so happy that I got to know, and his name is Joel Gertner. So Joel Gertner and I don't really see eye to eye. We've had a feud going. He complains backstage. He complains about his graphics. He complains about everything. And so he's got his team, and I got to pick my team, and they're going to compete. And if his team wins, everybody on that team and him are going to get 1-year contracts to Battleground. And if his team loses, they're banned from the arena forever. So goodbye, Joel Gertner. Goodbye, Philadelphia Playboy, Christian Ross, and Alvin, his personal bodyguard. They'll be gone forever. So that match, I'm kind of in the mix on that. Like, I'm not the type of promoter that's going to put myself in world championship bouts or anything like that. But that is very personal to me, that match. But just from a fan standpoint, I mean, there's a lot going on. I'm really looking forward to Lince Dorado and Brian Kendrick going for the Battleground Championship Wrestling title. I think probably if I had to pick a match that I'm most looking forward to is actually the women's world title match. Miranda Gordy the daughter of Terry Bam Bam Gordy, for the first time ever coming to the 2300/ECW arena, where her dad made waves, and she's very excited to come to that building. And I'm really looking forward to I've been talking with her back and forth, but I've never met her. And having her walk into that building and in her first match ever compete for the Battleground Women's Championship against Danny Moe, I think that one could be I think that one could steal the show.
I look at this like Danny Moe as your women's champion. You can't be wrong with. I know there's another company I work with, or have limited phrase I have a relationship with, who for a while Danny Moe was their champion, and every match she had, it didn't matter who else was in the ring, you knew you were getting a stellar match. So to hear her going up against Miranda on Friday is going to be, I agree with you. I think it's going to be on paper one of the best matches of the weekend, to say the least.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Danny's a true professional, and it's been a pleasure to get to know her and Facade. And Facade's got his hands full with Crowbar. They've already had a match. Facade's been having a streak of bad luck lately. He got a concussion in the Crowbar match, and the match before that he got injured. So Facade's fallen on a little bit of a hard time, while his girlfriend has ascended to the world title. So it's going to be. I'm proud of this show from beginning to end because of just what it represents, and not only that, if anybody's seen a Battleground show, they know that right before intermission, I tend to go to the ring and I announce everything that's coming up for the next show. And I have some announcements that I'll be making just before that are just, they should blow people's minds for the for the future of Battleground. So I'm already I'm not looking past it, but I'm already planning for what's to come.
Can't wait for that. So now I know this has caused a bit of confusion with some people. This show ends, and everybody is going to be outside then for how's the whole block party getting set up?
So the block party is essentially like a mini convention, like a little mini meet and greet for 3 hours. So, and anybody who's bought a ticket to Born to Die, or if anybody who's bought a ticket to the ECW show at night, you get in the block party for free. So how it's going to work is this. The first show, the bell rings at 1 o'clock. Show gets over around 4, maybe hopefully a little early. Everybody vacates the building. So they'll be making announcements. But if you come to Born to Die, you're going to get into the block party first before any other fans. So as you're leaving, everybody's going to get a hand stamp on their way out. Anybody who's coming to the block party. And all the people that went to Born to Die are all going to line up on the outside, the right side of the building with their hand stamps, and they're going to be all ready to go. Then the staff will put out all the tables where all the workers are going to go to sign and meet and greet and all that fun stuff. And as soon as that's done, I don't think that should take anywhere longer than 30 minutes. Boom, the doors reopen. All the people on the left side that went Born to Die, they show their hand stamps, they walk right in. And then everybody who is coming to the night show or needs to buy tickets for block party, they're going to be on the right side, and then we'll get to them and we'll get everybody in. It's going to be very crowded. It's going to be very packed, but very fun as well. So, and then the block party will get wrapped around 6:30, 7 o'clock, somewhere around there. We're going to clear the building again and take down all the tables and get everything ready for the tribute to the Extreme. We should open the doors again. 30 minutes after we get everybody out, we should be able to clean that place up. We'll open up the bar area. Everybody can come in, have a drink, do whatever. And 8 o'clock to 8:30, tribute to the Extreme kicks off.
Now, obviously, folks, you've seen the announcement before. If you're not able to make the block party, there will be coverage of it through this actual podcast right here, Around the Ropes podcast.
Yeah, you're going to cover. You'll be covering all 3 events. You'll be at all 3 events, which is awesome. And then you're going to come back the following night. And the following Saturday and Sunday, we're going to be doing a WrestleMania watch party. And the Saturday leg of that, we have all kinds of guests coming. We have Abdul the Butcher. We got Danny Moe, as we talked about. We got Facade. We got the Doink and Dink. There's some other surprises I'm working on too, so we might have some more guests for that. And you will be coming down the Around the Ropes podcast team, and you, John, will be coming down, and you'll be covering that too. So, I'm really happy to have you a part of this. You're going to be in one of the most historic buildings in the history of professional wrestling. I admire you. I like what you do. I think you're a very dedicated to your craft, and I'm happy to have you aboard, man.
I appreciate it. I actually made a thumbnail just to kind of promote it. And I just want to, yep, guys, this is the thumbnail that we were talking about, that this Saturday I will be at the watch long party at the 2300 Arena. Honestly, Tim, I'm looking forward to this whole weekend. It's going to be a fun weekend. And okay, now for you being a lifelong wrestling fan, we're talking about the ECW Arena.
Yeah.
What's one moment you remember from that building outside of Battleground stuff?
Well, I have a long history with that building. So as far as like the original ECW, like I don't I don't really want to break kayfabe here. I will a little bit, but surprise, surprise, I'm actually not from Philadelphia. And I know a lot of people think I am. I'm actually not from Philadelphia. So, in the heyday, I never really made it down to the ECW arena that often. But when I was getting involved in the wrestling business, I was very heavily into the merchandise aspect of it. I think you can see, like, by the way I treat Battleground with the dozens and dozens of shirts and posters and all that stuff. I really that was my forte back when I was young, and I had working relationships with pretty much every company that ran in there, going all the way back to Todd Gordon's 3PW and CZW and PWU and company after company. I would go there and I would do merchandise and all kinds of stuff, and I got to know the building owner. So it's not like I just came out of nowhere. As far as like that building, I've been driving to that building as long as I started. I've been going back and forth to the arena, and I never really thought that I'd be in a position like I am now, but I kind of got addicted to the creative side of it. And one of the things about this business that's very important, and I will say this to anybody, is you be kind to people and you treat people with respect. And it doesn't matter who they are. It doesn't matter if they're setting the ring up or if they're fans or whatever. You make sure you stay humble and you make sure you're kind and generous to everybody you can be, because it comes back to you, and it has come back to me because that's the way I am as a person, and that's the way I treat this company. And people who are negative and people who I feel bring the company down, I do not want them around. So I learned that through the years, and it kind of paid off, like building relationships with the management of the 2300 and being allowed. Because like I said, the people that go in, the companies that run there are like, they're $1 million companies. Like, they're companies with backers, and this, I don't, the only backers I have are the fans that come. That's it. It lives or dies by them. There's no corporations, there's no CEOs, there's nobody getting, there's no Sinclair Broadcastings, there's none of this. There's me and the fans. And I think that makes Battleground special. And I think it makes it unique because we can connect with people like other companies can't. Because when Battleground is done running, we're not running Chicago the next day. We're not running Pittsburgh. We're running the Philadelphia, and I get to know the fans, and we talk. And I can tell you exactly who's sitting where, and like there's the same people and the same faces. Family, and it sounds corny and it sounds like a gimmick, but it isn't. So I think, like, if anything separates Battleground, I think it's for me understanding that the importance of people and what they mean to you, and what they mean to uh, growing a company and growing relationships, if that makes sense.
I no, I completely get what you're saying, and I see that a lot with me because of the fact that I'm very grateful for all this stuff, and I try to be as nice as I can to people because I look at, and this is one thing I don't understand. I don't want to shoot on other podcasters or other people in the wrestling industry, but what I don't understand is this constant rift between the fan bases, between other podcasters have. Because to me, I look at it this way: if you're podcaster A and you're beefing with podcaster B, or if you're fan base A and you're having a riff with the other fan base, who does that help in the long run?
Negativity helps nobody, and negativity breeds negativity. So if you're a negative person, you will have negative things around you. It's inevitable. And John, I'll be completely honest with you. I mean, there was probably 50, 60, 70 podcasts that contacted me. And when people contact me about coming into the fold and doing things with me, and indie workers too, I always give them the time to at least give a listen or to give a watch. Somebody takes the time to send me a match. I can't get, I mean, there's very limited slots in battleground shows, but I feel like if somebody took the time to send me a match, I feel the obligation to watch that out of respect. And I clicked onto you when you sent me a message. I clicked onto you, and I just so happened to catch you when you were given you were talking about how people have maybe not been as supportive of you over the years, and how and it rang true, and that's what Battleground's all about. Because you don't need to do this. You don't. This is, you do this because you're passionate about it. And I'm sure there's been people, and it's the same thing happens to me. Oh, you can't run, you can't do this, and you can't do that. And everybody tries to bring you down to their level, and you have to rise. When you can rise above that, and when your passion carries you to do bigger things than anybody ever thought you could, that's the kind of people I want around. And that's why you're coming to the 2300 arena and doing your podcast, because I get that sense in your company, and you in particular. And we don't know each other. We've never met. We're going to meet for the first time on Friday. But I get the vibe, and I get you can feel it about people, and you can see the passion, and you can hear it in their voice. I watched you after you announced that you were coming, and you got emotional about it. And that that's real. You can't, that's as real as it gets. And I mean, when I'm standing in that ring, uh, doing my thing, I'm going to take it. I always take a little pause, and I always take a breath, and I look around, and I say, "Wow, look at what you're doing. Be proud of yourself." Same thing with you, and the same thing with anybody. You always have to take a look around and see where you've come from, and be proud of yourself, and acknowledge what you've done, and not in an arrogant way, just in a way where you're giving yourself the accolades you deserve. And I think when you do that and you're humble, I think it just breeds positivity. And that's what creates Around the Ropes podcast, Battleground Championship Wrestling. It springs up. And people that remember stuff like that and treat people accordingly, good things happen. And that's where we are right now.
And Tim, I appreciate everything you just said, and I'll be straightforward right now. I've been doing the show now. This November will be 3 years that this podcast has been around. I've been doing podcasts now for 13 years altogether. Mostly, right. It's been mostly sports podcasts that I've done. This is the first wrestling one I've done, and most of them have failed for one way, shape, or form.
It's okay.
And this one was my last go around. And I have been told, I was told from day one, and I'm still told to this day, oh, you don't have what it takes. And when I approached you with the idea and you said yes, and then I thought about it, I'm like, wait a second. You had told me this 3 years ago, or even 2 years ago, when this podcast was, first getting going, that I would be sitting in the hallowed grounds of the ECW arena doing this show. I have chills going down my spine. And I think, honestly, I am grateful for this opportunity. And believe me, I don't think it's going to hit me till I get there Friday. And I kind of just have that moment, you were saying before, when you're in the ring and you kind of take that moment to pause when, I know for a fact I'm going to walk in there on Friday before, when the doors open, and I'm just going to take a look and be like, this is real. Even now talking about it, I have the chills going down my spine.
I mean, there's not a better feeling than validation. If there's you can have a lot of success in this world, and you can make money, and you can have a lot of material things, but validation and belief in yourself are the two biggest things that you can have, and they trump everything else. And it breeds confidence, and it breeds so many other things about how you carry yourself. And you don't have to keep thanking me, my friend. You're part of the group now, so I'm glad to have you aboard. And we're just going to take care of business, and we're going to rock and roll on Friday. It's going to be amazing.
Absolutely. The other thing I do want to thank you for, by the way, is I updated the logo now, and it was actually the one that you had updated. So I'm actually using that now going further. Not that I don't mind the logo right here, because this is actually the original of it.
Right.
But when I saw that, I was like, oh my God. I'm like, yep, this is the. So when I have shirts being made, which I hopefully will be sooner rather than later, that's going to be the logo. That's going to be on there.
Oh, I appreciate it, man. I have the best team when it comes to like creative and when it comes to doing stuff like that. And we clean that. I mean, not that there was anything wrong. I love the original, like it was like a hand drawn thing, but I was like, let's clean this up for them. And so I'm really glad that you liked it, man. That means a lot.
I loved it. But Tim, one last thing I want to get to, and then we'll wrap up with this.
Yep.
The night show. The tribute to the Extreme. I don't know. I think I saw something about this. Correct me if I'm wrong on this, but isn't there an induction happening Friday night as well?
Yes. And I can announce. I'll announce this. I'll announce this here. This is the first time I'm announcing this. I am going to announce this probably on Thursday. But the Dudley Boys or Team 3D. My fault. No lawsuits. Team 3D will be going into the Arena Hall of Fame. And just so everybody knows, we are kicking the show off with it. So the show, the Tribute to the Extreme, is going to start with the Team 3D being inducted into the Hardcore 2300 Arena Hall of Fame. They will have their banner raised, there will be a ceremony, and it'll be something to behold for sure. But that's going to kick the entire show off. So make sure you're in your seats early. And make sure you get there. You're not out at the bar area having some drinks. Make sure you get your seats, because that's going to start the whole show off. And I haven't announced that anywhere. That's an Around the Ropes podcast exclusive.
Tim, I appreciate you hopping on with me tonight. I know you have a busy week ahead of you, so I appreciate the few minutes tonight.
I do. I actually have a meeting as soon as I get off here. I have a meeting with Todd Gordon, believe it or not. So we got a lot of we got some stuff to talk about. So listen, thank you, John. I appreciate it. Listen, drive safe coming down. And if you need me for anything, hit me up. But I really look forward to meeting you, man. And we're going to have an amazing experience. It's going to be incredible.
Going to be fun. I can't wait. So I will see you Friday.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. That was Timothy Embler, owner and promoter of Battleground. And then, Tim
Where I'm just going to say goodbye, everybody.
Yep. Thank you, Tim. See you Friday. Holy crap. I didn't even know that, by the way. Oh, how appropriate. Talking about the dream. Time for me to bring in my second guest. The one and only Dream himself. What's going on?
Baby, we are live and in color, baby, if you will.
But how you been?
Same old, this is like a dress rehearsal for WrestleMania, that's what this is right now, try out the new wigs, get everything ready.
But when are you going down to Philly? Because I know I'm going to be down as of Friday.
I'm going Thursday.
Okay.
So I'm going to WWE World Thursday, and Friday. Then WrestleCon Saturday, and wherever the fun is, I'll follow.
Well, I'll basically be at the 2300 Arena Friday and Saturday.
Yeah, I'm gonna be at that show Friday night. I was calling it the tribute to ECW. I'd probably called something different, but that's what I was referring it to.
Oh no, it's tribute to the Extreme is what they're calling it.
Tribute to the Extreme.
But yeah, then I think there's some little event happening at the Lincoln Financial Field this weekend.
Yeah. Only about 70,000 people are going to be there.
Yeah, it mind you, in a city that I think a lot of people can say is arguably top 3 of the most difficult cities.
Baby, the city of brotherly love, if you will.
But obviously, you being a wrestling fan for a while, I want to get your thoughts on this. What's your interest level in this whole weekend's show?
1,000. 1,000. I am so emotionally invested in this Cody and finishing the story, and watching wrestling since WrestleMania 1. I am 1,000% in. Everything that comes along with the weekend, seeing people I haven't seen, meeting people that are traveling from different countries to be there. This is Christmas morning for me. It's every day that goes by and I wake up, I'm like, we're one day closer. And it helps that I'm only a 45-minute drive away. So, I mean, I think this weekend is going to be pretty epic, and I'm really looking forward to it.
Oh, I'm excited as well. And actually, you got one comment coming in from Archie, who says he would like to wear your wig at Mania.
Baby, I don't know if we could do that, baby. This I got a little sweat in here, if you will. You don't want to put that on your head.
But honestly, for me, I mean, I came back to wrestling in 2014, actually, when Bryan Danielson, or Daniel Bryan, as we knew him back then, was having his run with the Authority. So I've seen. I mean, I'm going back to WrestleMania 30. So I've been there for the last 10 Manias, and I think this is the first time where there's not that predictability with any of these matches.
Yeah, I think that a lot has to do with that because of who's in charge now compared to who was in charge then.
Archie, not to cut you off there for a second, but Archie says, "But we got to get funky like a monkey, Daddy."
Baby, we're gonna get funky like a monkey. We're gonna live life on the end of a lightning bolt, if you will.
But go back to what you were saying, though.
Yeah, I think now with TKO, different management, let's face it, Vince not being there, that they're not afraid to change things on the fly, and they're not afraid to listen to the fans, and obviously it's going in the right direction. Even guys I work with who don't watch wrestling are getting, The Rock is back, and did you see him, whipping Cody Rhodes and making him bleed, and it's starting to get back into pop culture, which that's what it always needed for it to go over the top, starting from the first WrestleMania.
Well, you bring up what happened not this past Monday, but the Monday beforehand with Cody. Did you think that got, what did you think of that ending?
I mean, to me, it's got Dusty written all over it. I mean, he's attacking him backstage, making him bleed. It's a throwback. It's definitely I had to be thought of when they were doing it. And it's just showing the thing I noticed the most is the crowd's reaction. Cody was, I think he was with, I forgot who he was fighting before. And when The Rock just shows up in the picture, everybody grasps, like, whoa. Like, things just got serious. Like, if you rewatch it, Cody's wrestling, and then when The Rock comes in behind him, everyone's like, whoa. Everyone takes like a gasp, like, what, like fear. Like The Rock is, and then The Rock had showed all those videos of the kids crying and stuff. But I felt him, like, as a predator come in, like, oh boy, like, this is not going to be good.
And I mean, to me, I liked it. I just thought, coming off of the SmackDown where we got Babyface Rock, it was like, what are we doing? And it's honestly, I loved it. I know there's some people who are saying, "Oh, it got too personal." I'm like, but isn't that what we want as wrestling fans?
Yeah, I mean it's got to be, it's The Rock is pissed at Cody that what happened, that he was gonna, step into the side, and then Cody changed his mind, and The Rock is pissed at Cody, and he's pissed at the fans for ruining his fantasy match with Roman. I mean, it's a great to me it's a great story, and it's got to get personal. It's got to get personal.
I think also people have to look at it as if it didn't get personal. I mean, yes, granted they sold out Lincoln Financial Field both nights anyway, so didn't matter per se. But you have the entire world talking about it. You have to have a match that people are going to remember, where it's going to be in like the Andre Hogan echelon, Rock Austin, in that echelon. And I think honestly, Cody and Roman, if done right, and it's not going to be a car crash, which unfortunately I think it's going to be a car crash type of match. I think we'll be sitting here 5-10 years from now putting that in the same category as Rock Austin, Andre and Hogan, Warrior and Hogan from back in the day. To me, that's the way Cody tells a story. I mean, I don't see it happen any other way.
I mean, there's no reason to hold anything back. It's WrestleMania 40. It's the biggest WrestleMania of all time. There's always something about a rematch that is, that intrigues people. When teams go back to the Super Bowl against each other, or boxers have a rematch, there's always people saying, well, okay, that was too close, or that didn't end. We need to do this again. We need to see it again. And then you throw other pieces in play, like the Bloodline and The Rock, and is it going to be Bloodline rules, and who's going to turn on who? There's so many different scenarios that can happen. I can honestly say I am not 100% sure that Cody Rhodes is going to walk out with that belt. I don't think anybody can say that.
No. And I think that's what's making this, because I remember there was manias in the past where you go into the pay-per-view, into the premium live event, because we can't call it pay-per-view anymore, and who turn around and are like, well, in this match, this guy's going to win. I think realistically, I was talking to somebody about this a couple of days ago. I think if you look at the 12 matches this weekend, I think there's maybe 4 matches at top that it's like, okay, this is predictable. This is what I think is going to end up happening.
Off the top of my head, I don't see Bayley losing. I see Bayley winning. If I was to make a bet on this, that would be the one match where it's like Bayley is going to win. That would be my prediction. That might be the only match that I could literally, for 100% sure, say she's going to walk out winning. I
would agree that one. I think the only other one that, the problem is, it's like you look at the other one. You have the tag titles on the line, which I think they just announced Monday Night Raw that they are going to be split apparently.
Yes.
So you're going to have that. They also have the whole thing now where supposedly Austin Theory and Grayson Waller are maybe pulled for a mystery team. So now there's that getting thrown out there, because now there's people who are saying, oh, it could be the Dudley Boys. It could be Motor City Machine Gun.
Listen.
So you have that. Go ahead.
I grew up in a time where, there were so many surprises. I was at the Royal Rumble where Cena came back and won. And it's one of the, the greatest, moments that I've been at an event, because it was so unexpected. It wasn't ruined. I think people want to, I grew up in the era where Undertaker was the mystery part. I watched that as a kid live. And when he walked out of that curtain, I was scared as a kid. I'm like, oh my God. I'm like, this is the mystery. This is insane. But we've lost the essence of surprise, in recent years, and to get it back is a good thing, I believe.
Oh, I completely agree. Another match that, you can look at is Becky and Rhea. And the thing with that one is, do you take the belt off Rhea? Rhea right now is probably one of the best women wrestlers on that roster right now, to say the least.
Agree.
I mean, do you take the belt off of her just to give Becky her moment? Do you let Rhea run with the belt a little bit longer? And if you don't, who do you have eventually take the belt off of her? Because if it's not Becky, then who's left?
Yeah. There's a lot of uncertainty that either way it goes, depending on the match, people are always going to be displeased, but yeah, I mean, is it time to give it back to Becky? Rhea is so hot right now. I wouldn't want to take it off of her, but Becky has a kind of a return story that she needs to finish. So yeah, it's unpredictable. And whatever way it goes, you can be like, okay, well, I understand why they went this way, and I can understand why they went this way.
Another one you can look at that can go either way: Gunther and Sami Zayn.
Right. I mean, some people feel like Sami Zayn is so overdue to win. And then you look at the other way, you're like, well, man, Gunther's unstoppable. How he's beaten all these guys. Sami Zayn is struggling doing his Rocky training, vignette, and now he's going to beat Gunther. So that's another one. It's if you can't see it go either way, then you're going to watch the match, and it's not predictable.
And like with that one, also the other scenario you have to throw in there is, how does Gable fit into all this?
Right.
There's because, a lot of, I mean, technically he wasn't pinned. You want to go off the technicality,
right? There's a lot of X factors around all these matches that are going on now, which is, like I said, usually you'll see on Twitter soon where people post the fake outcomes. I mean, that's coming any day. Yeah. Where they took a picture of a book with a pencil, like back in the days where they would, like Dusty had that book, baby, I got my pencil, you know what I'm saying? I'm booking the matches, and put it, that's about to come out any day, probably tomorrow.
More, I'll just sit there and be like, yep, Dusty called that on the podcast.
It's when that comes out, it always comes out when the Rumble, the people have what listing there are, like a day or two before the Rumble, like who's in it, who's gonna win. That's about to come out probably tomorrow. I feel like people are starting WrestleMania week earlier and earlier, so I'd say tomorrow. It'll probably come out tomorrow.
Well, we just have a comment that came in here from a friend of ours, David, who lives in the UK, who said for some reason he thinks Gable's actually going to cost Sami the match.
Yeah, I mean, that's the element of it. The big thing about what's going on in WWE right now is the element of who's going to screw who. Is Seth going to screw Cody? Is The Rock going to screw Roman? Is Gable going to screw Sami? So there's a lot of that going on too. Like people are going to sit there waiting for the moment where, somebody gets turned on.
I mean, the fact that, go back to last night on Monday Night Raw, or not Monday, I think it was, last night, and Seth turned around and said he has a plan B.
Right.
Was that a foreshadow? For fans who are watching, you remember back when Seth turned on the Shield back in 2014, I think, 2014, 2015, Triple H's exact words were, I have a plan B.
Right. Well, these things they throw at you are to throw you either way. It's like it's like watching a movie, and you're trying to find out who done it. And they'll give, one clue, oh, it's this guy. And then they give another clue, oh, it can't be him. It's got to be him. And they give another clue, oh, it's this one. It can't, it's not obvious. And it's great because, like I said, besides Bayley, I would be shocked if Bayley walked out of WrestleMania losing that match. Besides Bayley, I don't see any 100% clear-cut winner. People are saying that the tag match is definitely going to be won by The Rock and Roman because the next match is going to be Bloodline Rules. But I'm thinking maybe it could go the other way because it would kind of, like you said before, the match is going to be, what's the term you used?
Car crash.
A car crash. And it's WrestleMania 40. It's a main event. Do you want a car crash? At that, do you want Cody if Cody wins to finish the story with a car crash, or if Roman wins to solidify himself with a car crash victory, I don't know if that works either.
No, but I just think I don't know. I don't know if car crash would be the right word to use for it. I just think, to me, if you go the Bloodline Rules match, I hate to say this because I think they've put so much stock into this match. And the funny thing is, if you talk to most wrestling fans, they're more intrigued with the eventual Cody Rock match from what we've seen on TV the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, people are always fantasy booking and, thinking about, what they're going to do next. But my advice to you and everybody is enjoy the moment now. Enjoy what's going on. And get emotionally invested in what's going on now. Don't worry about, well, if he wins, then he can't bring SummerSlam and Roman isn't on the poster for the next pay-per-view. All that stuff is, that's kind of what goes on right now in wrestling journalism and dirt sheets and all that. Enjoy it for what it, enjoy it now. Go in with a clear head and be like, try and be surprised. Like I said, one of the biggest surprises ever, I was there live when Cena came out number 30. And me and my friend looked at each other and we were like, no way. We were like, no way. And it was one of the most memorable events I've ever been to.
That was that at the Garden, that one, when he came back?
Yes.
Okay.
That was at the Garden, yeah.
But the funny thing is, I mean, going back to Cody for a second, we know he can put on good matches with good storytelling. Look at the match he had with Dustin at the first Double or Nothing.
Yeah, that might have been the best match in AEW in his existence.
But the thing is with that, it was simple storytelling. That's one thing that I think Cody, and you can almost say Dustin to an extent, kind of learned from Dusty.
Yeah, it was sibling rivalry. Who's and if you have siblings, you know what it's like. Who was dad's favorite, who was better. Well, I'm the young buck and I'm the older, mature, and a lot of blood. And at the end of it, they, it was a great match. I mean, in the end of it, when he hugs him and everything like that, it was emotional. It was emotional, and that's what wrestling is supposed to do. It's supposed to tell a story that gets you emotionally invested. Some people aren't into that. Some people just want to watch matches and spots and flips and whatever floats your boat.
And what's funny is I'm more, and I said this in the almost 3 years that this podcast has been on, I'm more on the storytelling side of things. Like, to me, if I'm going to a WWE or AEW show or to the 9,000 independent shows that I go to, I'd rather go and enjoy a match based off of the fact that they told the story. Because especially a lot of the times when I go to an independent show, and I'll use the independent scene for a second, I'm not traveling 20 minutes to a show. I'm traveling 3, 4, sometimes 5 hours for a show. If I'm spending all that time, the one thing I'm hoping in return is that a match or two are going to sit there and are going to have good storytelling.
Right.
Because then that's how you get the fans emotionally invested.
Yeah, I mean, that if they can, it's hard with independents because, they do cut promos, things like that, but they need to tell their whole story in the ring during the match. We've already got a lot of the story from the Bloodline and The Rock and Cody and Seth. It's been building for years, and most of it right now, all the hype was built outside of the ring, with the beating, with the bloody weight belt, just everything in general. But yeah, it's some people want to say, well, guy 1 versus guy 2, and they have a great technical match and everything, but this was always meant to be storytelling in my eyes.
And that's the one thing I love with pro wrestling. That's the one reason why I have stuck with this podcast for 3 years. That's one of the reasons why I sit there and I'll watch a Monday Night Raw or a SmackDown or even sometimes a Dynamite even. It's for the storytelling. Because to me, if you have 2 wrestlers in the ring, and let's take Cody and Roman, for example, and there wasn't a story behind it, there wasn't this whole finish, let Cody finish his story, I don't know if fans would be that invested into it. They'd be like, okay, it's just a regular match. I mean, we see it, and I hate to put AEW under the under the microscope, because I feel like they got put under the microscope after Punk's interview he just did. But it's true. I mean, you look at with AEW, I feel like constantly does not do the story. I mean, granted, let me backtrack for a second. They do storytelling, but not as in depth as we're seeing right now with the Bloodline storyline. I mean, when have you ever seen the story go almost 4 years almost?
Yeah, the Bloodline storyline might be one of the best stories ever in WWE. So it's going to be hard to even compete with that. But I do agree. There's, the feuds, what builds, even in sports, feuds and stories and, smack talking is what builds feuds, It's going on now. I mean, what just happened with the women's basketball game? I was intrigued in it. Why? You have two superstars, total opposites. You got trash talking. One of them is just going to quietly do what she's got to do. The other one is trying to showmanship. And you watch that game because you want to see what's going to happen. It's just not like, oh, team one is playing team two. No, they had characters. They built the storyline of this game. And, I don't watch basketball at all. I don't watch women's basketball. I probably never watched women's basketball. But I was intrigued to see what was going to happen in that game because it had a story and it had a rivalry.
No, and okay, if you want to stick to the sports things here for a second, I think arguably one of the biggest rivalries in all of baseball, and it happened for years. I mean, they haven't had the same rivalry for a long time. Look at Yankees in Boston.
Yeah.
Why did so many people sit there and sit for the 5-6 hour games that they used to have back in the day? And it would be like, oh, Yankees won 1-0. But you would have people interested. I mean, I'm even going back to the days where you would see the fights break out between the two teams.
Yeah, I mean, I watched all those games from start to finish. I couldn't keep my eyes off of it. It had history. It had feuds. It had violence. You had different characters. You had Pedro. You had Pedro, who was the loudmouth, threw Don Zimmer on the floor. You had Jeter, who was the more quiet, take care of business guy. It wasn't, and it was real hatred. Some of the players hated each other on the other teams. When someone got beamed with the ball, benches cleared. The managers didn't like each other. The cities didn't like each other. Rivalries is what builds competition. In me. And in order to have rivalries, you have to have a story. You have to have smack talking. If you don't have a rival, what are the biggest rivalries in AEW that aren't real, that aren't CM Punk and Jungle Boy?
None that I can think of off the top of my head.
CM Punk and
insert wrestler X.
Yes, and the Bucks and CM Punk and the Elite.
Which honestly, I'm surprised they never actually followed through with any of those. I thought that would have been perfect TV.
I don't think WWE's done it many times, but I don't think they were able to separate reality versus business. And I think that's a big problem what CM Punk had said today. You could make, guys have done it. Look at Hardy and Edge. How much business, and it was really personal. It was real life. Sometimes the best things are when real life, they blur, real life mixed in with works and shoots.
I mean, I'll give you another example. Jeff Jarrett and Kurt Angle.
That came up today also. People were talking about that, right? If they were able to work it out for business, how were you not able to work it out for business?
Exactly. But I think, going back to WrestleMania here for a second, I think the biggest thing also that people are also forgetting with this whole bloodline, especially with Roman and Cody. And I'm surprised WWE didn't go down this path at least. I know, we always talk about Mount Rushmores in sports and in wrestling. I'm surprised it never went down the road as far as that you have arguably two of the most well-known families in pro wrestling, not just WWE, in pro wrestling history involved here with the Anoa'i family and the Rhodes family. I mean, you can't get bigger than this.
I think you got to understand with Cody, there are a lot of new Cody fans who never saw Dusty and never saw Dustin. These kids that are dressing up like Cody. I mean, unless their parents are letting them watch Peacock and they're going back, which they're probably, maybe they are. I know some kids that actually are fans of Dusty because they go back and watch it. But they need the past and the history is great and the lineage is great, but it needs to be their story. You understand? It's like the Red Sox and Yankees. They would always talk about Babe Ruth and then always talk about Johnny Bench. But ultimately, they're not in the game anymore. It was Jeter versus Pedro. They'll go back and talk about the past, but the focus has to be on the now.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And that's, but on the flip side, you were just saying before how a lot of fans now, never got a chance to see Dusty and never got a chance to see Dustin. You can almost make the argument on the other side where you have fans now, especially I'm talking like younger fans who may not know Rock, that like they're sitting there right now going, wow, this guy, he's so mean, but yet you see clips of him on YouTube or even, me growing up or, back in the day, he was probably one of the most entertaining characters out there.
Yeah, I mean, some people, this is the new Rock. This is brand new to some people. This version of the Rock, and they don't know who the Rock is.
Yeah, no, exactly. I totally agree. I just have some comments coming in here, and I just want to go through some of these comments quickly because they just give me 1 second here because I have to, because of the fact I'm doing this through the Around the Ropes group channel, it doesn't come up with the name on here. So I have to go through the comment section here. And Mark chimes in and goes, John, why are you ignoring us? Mark, I'm not ignoring you guys. I'm just talking about WrestleMania right now. You guys are asking me about something which I'll get to at the end of the show in regards to all the other festivities happening this weekend. So Mark, I'm not ignoring you at all. I want to try to stay focused because like I said when I opened up the show tonight, there was a lot to get to. Probably, I would say honestly, in the 3 years I've been doing, and I keep saying in the 3 years because at this point it feels like I've been doing this for 3 years. This is probably the most I've had to do, and it's not like I have a lot to cover, but with how much is going on, this is the biggest weekend in pro wrestling history.
I agree. I mean, I'm like, years ago when I went to WrestleMania, you wake up, you go. I mean, look, John, look at this. I mean, look at this. Look how many pairs of boots I have. I mean, I don't know how much am I going to pack here? I mean, look. I mean, this is the granddaddy of them all, baby. There's a lot going on, and I don't know about you, but I'm so afraid I'm going to miss something. I want to see this. I want to do this. But I said to myself, I don't want to spend the weekend waiting on lines. I don't want to spend the weekend waiting on lines because that is not fun.
No, I know for me, I'm getting there Friday, spending the entire day Friday at the 2300 Arena. I actually found a hotel in Jersey, in South Jersey, which is about 20 minutes away from the ECW Arena, so it's not that bad. Basically checking out and literally getting breakfast and then heading right back up to the 2300 Arena for the Busted Open party and then the watch party, which I will be a part of, and then from there heading home. Yeah. So it's for me. I mean, I have people who are like, oh, I wish I could make the trip down there. I'm like, believe me, I didn't think 2 years ago I'd be saying, oh, I'm going down to Mania because of of a podcast I put together. But no, I mean, I agree with you. I don't want to wait in line at all. I think the only time I may have to wait in line is for the Busted Open party on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm gonna try and get to that as well. I wanted to go there. I'll be at the ECW tribute show Friday night. Me and Machoverse will be there. We kind of have it. It's like I feel like I'm planning a Disney vacation this weekend. That's what I told him. I feel like Clark Griswold. That's our guy. we got to go see the biggest, ball of mud. And then we got to go to Wally World. And then after that, we got to, we got to do this. I mean, it's overwhelming. It's overwhelming. But the good thing is the weather looks like this rain is finally going to end toward the weekend, and we're going to have decent weather. It's going to be chilly, but it's going to be dry. I can do chilly. I can't do wet. I can't do rain. This is not going to do. These don't do well in the rain.
Well, only thing I'm going to say though, I know this always becomes a big thing amongst, when you have a lot of wrestling fans in the same area. Use deodorant, please.
I don't understand where this came from. I'm your friend. I'm going to shoot with you right now. I started packing. Yeah. My wife and daughter are in Florida. They did a mommy-daughter trip in Disney. So I'm home by myself. I'm going to show you.
Yeah.
It's sitting right here. I got all this stuff out. Okay?
Okay.
1, 2, 3. I am so self-conscious because of what people say about the wrestling fans and deodorant and smell that I literally took these 3 things, and these are like on my kitchen table, must come.
I'm laughing at it, but I hate to say this, but unfortunately, it's. I mean, the last time I was in a room where there was a lot of wrestling fans was Big Event, not this past one, but like a few years ago. Oh no, actually, not Big Event. Why am I saying Big Event? Icons, when they were a couple of years ago. I was down in there, and you notice it, especially, I mean, you don't notice it so much in the winter times because most people aren't wearing like shorts and a t-shirt when it's 3 below outside. But we are starting to get into the nice weather, and we are in the Northeast, so all I'm just saying is just a small PSA from the Round Ropes podcast. If you're coming down to Philly, bring deodorant.
I feel like a lot of people give these PSAs, but people still don't listen.
Hey, I did my part.
They've made me so self-conscious. I just showed you. These 3 things are sitting at my table. Like, I was packing before. I got home from work, and I was packing. And I said, okay, I need fresh stick of deodorant, Axe body spray, and a little bit of cologne. Because the last thing I want anybody to do is like, I'm also walking around in wigs and costumes, which I'm going to sweat naturally more than anybody indoors. You know what I'm saying? If I was just wearing jeans and a t-shirt, it wouldn't be that big of a deal. I'm wearing this spandex and the wig and this and elbow and knee pads and boots, But yeah, I mean, I don't know. Take a shower before you go, freshen up, use some of these items.
Folks, also, I just want to say this part, and then we'll get back into going over the card here in a second. I don't want people, I know there's some people who sit there and go, oh, but it's too expensive. Go to Dollar Tree. Go to Family Dollar. Go to wherever you need to go. They're not that expensive. I'm just saying.
Wait a minute. People are saying that it's too expensive to buy toiletries?
Mm-hmm.
No. There's no excuse. Buy less wrestling figures and belts. Buy more cologne.
Yeah, good one telling wrestling fans that one, because
right.
I laugh with wrestling fans. I see wrestling fans who have like 30, 40 replica belts that they own. I have one belt, and it's currently holding my pants up as we speak. But in all seriousness, there is one belt I would, if I ever got a chance to get, I would mark over it big time. There's one belt, and it's not the Wing Eagle belt, because I know that's everybody's first guess. For me, it is the IC title, the white IC title.
Baby, that was Cody. Cody brought that title back, if you will, the throwback. I like that one too.
That is my favorite title, and that's the one belt where if I ever get the opportunity to buy one, even a replica one of it, that would be the one I would go for on a dime. I wouldn't even think twice about it. I think second for me would actually be a belt that you actually owned there, Dusty. I don't know if you actually, I don't think you owned it, but I think you did challenge for it a couple of times. The NWA World's Heavyweight title.
The big gold?
The big I forgot the one the NWA has.
Yeah, no, he's won that twice.
Okay, I didn't remember.
Yeah, he won that twice from Harley Race, and then he beat Ric Flair for the big gold.
Those would be the two that I would go for.
Yeah, I love. Yeah, I mean, I don't collect any of that stuff. I'm not a big collector, but it's pretty cool when I'm like at events and fans will like let me hold their belt and take pictures of it and stuff. A lot of people hold me the big gold and like, this is your belt, Dusty. Here, take a picture. One of my favorites. I like the NWO belt too. I'm more the old school. The wing eagle is classic as well.
But I want to get back into this card because, like I said, there's a lot of matches. There's a lot of X factors, and I want to just briefly go through each match and kind of give our predictions for a little bit. If you're okay, if you're cool with that.
Sure, I'm going to bring up the card. There's so much.
Well, first match I want to look at. We were talking about it before. Women's World Championship. Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley. Because apparently this is going to be night one.
Man, I mean, I think Rhea Ripley is so good, and I don't see her dropping it. I think I don't think it's Becky's time yet. I don't think it's Rhea's time to drop the belt. And the Judgment Day, everything she does is just, she's so good. She's so talented. Her look. Do you ever think about, well, if the heel women retain or win, then it can't be the same for the men? Sometimes I think, well, if Rhea is going to win and keep her title, there's no way they can do it on the other side with the men. I don't know. That's just something I always thought about growing up and watching wrestling, but it really isn't true. But
no, I think for me,
I can't go against Rhea Ripley.
I can't either. And I think for me, they always make the comment where the belt makes the person or the person makes the belt. And to be honest, I don't think Becky at this point needs a title. She's
Correct.
Teflon. I just think the problem's going to be, and I hate to say this, you have Rhea drop the belt here on Saturday. I mean, granted, yes, she's done a lot for that belt, so I don't think it would hurt her a lot. But realistically, it's like, okay, you have her drop the belt. Let's say you do give it to Becky. What do you do now with Rhea? I think personally, to me, you let Rhea go with the belt longer. And the one who I've said this for a while now, who I think should eventually take the belt off of her, Tiffany Stratton.
There is so much competition in that women's division right now. And then with Jade Cargill coming in, she just threw a huge monkey wrench in there, all of them are just so, what's the word I want to use? I mean, they're all so good. I don't know if I don't know if there's room for her now to be at the top with all of them. And then Charlotte looks like she is rushing to get back. I just saw a video with her running. So that's another monkey wrench. I mean, it looks like she's going to be ready for SummerSlam. If she came out at Mania.
Oh, I wouldn't be shocked either. But if they turn around and they have Rhea drop the belt to Charlotte, it's going to be like doing this again.
Yeah, people are already saying that, whoever wins is just going to get fed to Charlotte. I'm a big fan of Bianca Belair too. She's some talent.
No, I just think if you give it to Tiffany, I think honestly at this point you can make a start, because let's call a spade here. Becky isn't getting younger. I'm not saying she's at the end of her career, but you have to start looking at the future and that women's division. And I think realistically, Tiffany is one of the future stars. And what they kind of cooled her off a little bit, but I definitely think she should be one of the people in contention for that title at some point.
I agree, but I don't think at this point, no.
Oh no, not at this point. But I'm saying at some point down the road.
At some point down the line, yeah, for sure. But Rhea retains. Becky could get thrown in the mix with all those other women who are want to be at the top, like
exactly.
Bianca and Jade.
Next match I want to look at Gunther versus Sami Zayn for the IC title.
Yeah, we talked about this before. I hate to see Sami just not have his moment again. But I don't see Gunther. The champions are so hot right now. It's so hard for you to give a reason why to take the belt off any of them right now, including Roman. But titles do change hands at WrestleMania. Some titles will change hands. Is it Sami's time? When was the last time Sami had a moment? Probably on his own singles. It's been a while.
The only one that comes to mind was when he won the title from Neville. That one that I can think of that meant something.
Yeah,
when he won the title from Neville and like one of the first NXT takeovers.
Right. And we're always talking about records now. All these records are coming back into play. Is it Sami's time? Is it time for Sami to, for the Sami fans to celebrate? It's tough. It's tough to take that belt off Gunther, and it's tough. It's a big underdog story. Like I said, they played that little Rocky thing with Sami the other night. I don't see it. I
don't either, and I just think I agree with you. I think it's going to be Gunther who's going to retain. But I think there's two things I see coming out of this match. I think Gable turns heel, costs Sami the match, then you put Sami and Gable into a feud going into SummerSlam. And if I had to think of somebody else who I think could go after Gunther, well, there's two guys I think who can go after Gunther and can make a legitimate argument and could put on a match with him. One of them right now is your NXT champion, Ilya Dragunov, which you put him versus Gunther for that IC title. And we've seen the classics those two have had. But another one I think is Braun Breaker.
Yeah, that was right on the tip of my tongue. It seems like those guys are headed for a collision course together, for sure.
I mean, you put those two together, especially with how I think they calculated Breaker's speed in the ring is like 23 miles an hour or something.
Yeah, he's a phenomenal athlete. I mean, he's definitely the future. I wish they would give him a little more of his Steiner heritage credit, but it's hard to. It's always determined whether you're gonna take your family name when you get into the business. Is it the right thing to do? Is it the wrong thing to do? You're always in a shadow. Some guys overlap the previous generations, like The Rock and Randy Orton. The Rock and Randy Orton have overlapped their fathers 100 times over. It's always tricky with that.
I think the thing also, I think Breaker. I remember when he first joined NXT, and they called him Braun Breaker. Everybody's like, "Why? Just call him Steiner because he's a Steiner."
Right.
Honestly, now he's kind of etched his own history, where it's like, if you're a diehard wrestling fan, he's a Steiner.
Right. You don't have to say it.
You don't have to say it. If you're somebody who's a casual fan, you know of him as Braun Breaker. So I think that's the thing here. I think honestly, done right, Breaker, I think, is somebody who, could you imagine a collision course if it ends up happening, potentially of Ilya and Braun? That would be that has match of the year candidate, and I don't even think that match has even been booked yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I want to keep things moving here because now we have the 6-pack tag team ladder match, which as of tonight's episode, because folks, like I said when we started, there is a chance Austin Theory and Grayson Waller will be pulled from this match. So just bear with me on that one. We got the Judgment Day, DIY, The Awesome Truth, The New Day. Obviously, we have A-Town Down Under, which I think is actually not a bad name, and the new Catch Republic. Now, supposedly, where originally, these titles were called the Undisputed titles. It was announced this past Monday that each belt, so you could have a Raw tag title and a SmackDown tag title. The thing that Michael Cole mentioned on Monday on last night's Raw, if let's say you grab down the Raw belt, it doesn't mean the match is over. So now,
two teams are going to end up winning,
possibly. But now here's my question to you: if the rumors are true that A-Town Down Under, which by the way, I love that name now, if they do get pulled and we do get that mystery team coming in, I mentioned before Motor City Machine Guns, also mentioned the Dudley Boys. I've heard rumblings possibly the Hardys coming back for one last run.
I've been hearing that too.
Kind of having that same moment they did back at WrestleMania 33. Do you see Judgment Day walking out as the champ still?
No, I think that those titles are going to change hands. I think there's too much people involved, too much stuff going on. I think you can make that title change hands without Judgment Day looking weak also because of the stipulation with the ladder. And if they lose a match like that, it's not going to make them look bad because there's so many teams. You have the ladders in play. It's not like they're getting pinned. So I think those titles will change hands, and it makes it much more interesting, especially if they're going to split them. Because if you just let if you let them win and keep them, it kind of loses its luster. I don't know about that mystery team. I don't know. I mean, it would be a good time to put in a nostalgia team because there's so many people involved. They don't have to take many bumps or do much. Dudley's would make most sense for me, especially in Philadelphia. I think the pop would be unreal. Devon and Bully Ray are on Legends contracts. They both seem like they're getting along and everything's good. And for the sake of Philly, that would be my guess.
I would agree. I think when somebody said Motor City Machine Guns, I'm like, I can't see that. As much as I would love to potentially get Motor City Machine Guns versus half of those tag teams I mentioned, you let the Dudleys get one last run. And I'm not saying, they're going to be, they're not going to have like a 3-year run with those belts. Let's say, hypothetically, it is them. And let's say they do win. Give them a couple of weeks. Let them have their last run, even a couple months even. And if you want to have it be where they drop the belts in at SummerSlam, okay, I won't have a problem with that. You gave them their last run.
I could actually see them in their old school, and I could see them going out looking at the lights the next night in Philly.
Or there's that possibility also.
I could see that happening, where someone gets a rematch, one of the teams, and they get their last, those guys seem like the guys where they would want to go out like that. And it would pretty cool. They'd have their WrestleMania moment and they'd be able to go out putting someone else over, which I'm sure when I hear Bully Ray on Busted Open every day, he's such an old school guy. Those guys are old school. They're over already. They're over no matter what. They can fall off the ladder after climbing up 2 steps. They're over. So I'd love to see them have a WrestleMania moment, and then drop the titles the next night as a total shocker, and then walk out of Philly putting somebody over.
Which honestly, if you go off of that, I'm just looking at the teams who are in this. The team I would love for it to be is DIY.
Yeah, I mean those guys deserve it.
Because
they're gaining ground.
I'm just looking right now. I can't see. I mean, I know a lot of people want Awesome Truth to get it, so R-Truth can get his WrestleMania moment.
Yeah,
but I'm like, why?
He doesn't need it, and that's not what he's there for.
No.
You know, I just look also. I just think of like Coffee and Xavier Woods, and I just still think like I just feel so bad for Big E still. Like New Day cannot. They're just not the same without Big E wrestling. It's just not the same. And I hope he comes back eventually. I know it doesn't really look good from what I've heard and what he's said, but it's just a shame. I see those two names there, and I'm like, man, they were just Coffee, Kofi losing to Brock. They've had some hard times, Daddy. Death hard times.
No, you're 100% right, and that's what I think the issue is with this. I know they did announce though that Big E will be at WrestleMania apparently, because apparently they're doing an eating I don't know if this is legit or not. So
they did it already.
Oh, they did it. Okay, that I didn't.
We haven't. It was on YouTube. They had him, Otis, a couple of these guys. Yeah, they were having a Philly cheesesteak eating contest.
Oh, jeez. Okay, the funny thing is, when we did our WrestleMania prediction video last year, myself, Ryan Peterson, and a good friend of ours, Billy, we were talking about this year's Mania, and Ryan joked around saying, "Oh, we're going to have a Philly cheesesteak eating contest."
It happened. Yeah, I don't know how far you go back, but I remember watching Saturday Night Main Event. They had like a Halloween episode, and it was King Kong Bundy versus Lou Albano in a pie eating contest. You guys can look that up. It's hysterical. All the wrestlers are dressed in Halloween costumes, and King Kong Bundy and Lou Albano are just shoving pies in their mouth. It's legendary.
I want to get going because, like I said, we have quite a few more matches to go through. In a battle that actually is the third time in WrestleMania history we're getting this: Jey Uso versus Jimmy Uso, brother versus brother. And like I said, it's the third time it's happened because we had it WrestleMania 10 with Owen and Brett, and then we had it. Was it WrestleMania 21 or 22 with Matt and Jeff?
I can't remember the numbers.
And all I know is it was 15 years after, because I think they made a point that it's been every 15 years that we get this. Right. So if you don't, actually, then it'll be WrestleMania 25 then, because 15 is 25. I think I passed math. But so now we get it now again with Jay and Jimmy. So how do you see this one playing out?
Man. I'm thinking about like the bloodline, how many matches will they'll win, how many they'll lose. Then I'm thinking about the crowd that wants to do the whole, at the end of the match, the whole yeet thing. I've put over all the heels. I'd have to say that we'd have to have a face win this match. I think I'm going to say yes, yeet. Yes, yeet.
Now, let me ask you this, though. Does old daddy there, Rikishi, get involved in this match?
I think he might come down and like look disgusted, like that it's come to this. That they're fighting and their family. Maybe the three get in the ring and they do the too cool dance after the match. That maybe he turns face and then they all do the too cool dance.
If you're watching this right now, you don't know what we're talking about, go to YouTube. You'll see videos of it.
Unless Rikishi, he knocks out Jay, and then they ask him why he did it, and he said, "I did it for The Rock."
Hey, it's funny we're laughing at it, but that could work out storyline wise.
I did it for The Rock. I think everyone would die. I think I'd fall out of my seat at WrestleMania if that happened. If he said that.
Oh, if he says that,
why did you do that to your son? I did it for The Rock.
I would just sit there, like I said, I'll be at the ECW arena that night. I'll be doing a watch along. If you go back and you watch it, you just see me cracking up hysterically. You'll know why.
If Rikishi comes out now, you're going to think of that when he comes out at WrestleMania. Automatically, you're going to think of what I said.
all of a sudden, be like, why'd you do this? I did it for the Rock. I'm just sitting and go, damn it, Dusty.
Yeah, but Dusty's still booking. You know, I got my book of pencil. You will.
But I just think, honestly, like I said, my thing also, I hope they give them time. That's my big thing.
Yeah.
But I want to keep it.
You got 2 nights.
Yeah, it's. You got in a 6-woman tag team match. You got Bianca Belair, Jade Cargill, and Naomi taking on Damage Control of Dakota Kai, Asuka, and Kairi Sane.
Oh, that's a Bianca and Jade. That's and Naomi's a dream team. Forget it. They're gonna wipe the floor with them. They're gonna wipe the floor with them like Team USA basketball. Forget it. It's over. That's gonna be a oof. That's gonna be a squash.
Unfortunately, I know they always talk about in wrestling, bathroom breaks matches, and I hate to say it. On night one, I think that's I think people can make the argument of that being a bathroom break because that's gonna be like okay, they're gonna come in, boom, boom, boom. 5 minutes later, okay, we're done.
No, I need to see Bianca and Jade.
Oh, I do too.
I need to see. No way. You're gonna go to the bathroom and her next match. That's crazy talk.
Oh no, I'm not saying.
You think people will think that?
I'm looking at the card right now for night one, and we're halfway through night one here, and I think if not that one, we're not halfway through. We're about 3/4.
We're almost we're almost done with night one.
I think the only problem is, and again, I'm not trying, and I don't want people to misconstrue what I'm saying here. I'm not sitting there saying, "Oh, you have to have a bathroom break match." But I think my whole thing is, especially if they go on this late in the card, people are going to need a breather, especially with what is coming up.
Listen, it's a long night. It's a long day. I'm 43 years old. When I got to go to the bathroom, I can't predict what match is going to be on when I got to go I got to go. And especially if I'm pounding down some beers with the common people, you know what I'm saying? I got to go. But I don't want to get up. I don't want to get up and miss Jade and Bianca because they are, and Naomi. I want to see them squash Damage Control.
No, I do as well. And honestly, I think at this point, after this, I think Damage Control should. I'm not saying that they should dissolve, but they're just not the same.
Mm.
But I want to keep things moving here because, like I said, we got 2 more matches on night one. Next one we got here is a tag team match with LWO, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee taking on the team of Santos Escobar and Dirty Dom. I personally think I was surprised when Rey announced that it was going to be Dragon Lee.
Mm.
I really thought they were going to go Andrade here. But how do you see this one playing out?
It makes no sense for Mysterio and Dragon Lee to win. Honestly, it doesn't do anything. I mean, I guess it's a crowd happy WrestleMania moment, but in the future, I don't see Mysterio not putting them over.
No, and at this point, damn well, and that's the one thing I'm curious with this match. Dom gets booed no matter what. But I'm curious to see him getting booed in Philly, the same place that booed Roman after Rumble 2015 and threw snowballs at Santa Claus a number of years ago. Hey, as a Giants fan, I can say that I remember that game.
Tough crowd.
Yeah, that's an understatement if I've ever heard one. But as far as with this one, I hate to say it, but I would have to agree. I mean, this match, Rey Mysterio is at the point in his career now where he's Teflon. A loss here isn't going to hurt him.
Right.
And I know everybody's going to say, but what about Dragon Lee? I think the rub from Rey is going to be enough for Dragon Lee. And I think this is a match where we see another heel turn. Somebody from the LWO. And I think the one who I see it being is Carlito.
Hmm.
They if you saw when they announced it, you saw Carlito's facial reactions.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't had a heel Carlito in a long time.
Yeah. Spitting the apple in people's faces and stuff.
And especially now with the fact now that you don't have Vince there anymore, you have Hunter now running everything. Who knows how far they can go with him being a heel?
It's a good point. This is going to be the first Vince McMahon-less WrestleMania ever. I think you're going to see unexpected things.
Well, now it's time to get to the main event of night one. The tag match. Or some people say the greatest tag match ever. I personally think you have to go back to WrestleMania 1 where we saw Hogan and Mr. T with Orndorff and Piper, but who am I? As much as I hate to say this, they've been dropping this Bloodline Rules match name for the last couple of weeks. As much as I hate to say this, I think we're getting Rock and Roman winning here. I think we're getting Bloodline Rules match in night 2.
Yeah, they wouldn't keep making a big deal of it if it wasn't going to happen. And this is going to be like, I think it's going to be like the Horsemen, versus Dusty. Cody's going to have to overcome crazy odds to win that title. And only way that happens, and he might get a little help. I think Cody's going to get a little help too. I think people are going to come out to even the odds for Cody because some people are going to see. Dustin is a name that's been brought up. Stone Cold is a name that's been brought up. I think Cody's going to need some help, more than just Seth, and more than Owens and Zayn coming out last year. He's going to need something bigger.
And that's my whole thing is, you just mentioned Seth. There's also, we were talking about this before, the possibility of Seth turning. So it's like this match alone, I know we just went over night 1, we'll go over night 2 here in a second. This match alone, I think, has so many X factors in it and so many variables in it where it's like, I know we both said that Rock and Roman wins, but honestly, I think the fans win because you're going to get an entertaining match. And the biggest thing I'm curious to see, not so much with Cody and Seth because they both have been in-ring competitors for a while. I'm curious to see the other side because people have to remember this is Rock's first match in the WWE ring. I would say since, and I'm not talking about the match he had at WrestleMania 32 that lasted 7 seconds with Eric Rowan. I think this is the last time he had an actual match. I think you gotta go back to him and Cena once in a lifetime part 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Maybe twice in a lifetime.
Yeah, but I think I could be wrong. I think that was his last match.
No, they said 10 years or over 10 years. Yeah, and that's 10 years. That's 11 years ago, I believe.
So I think that realistically, so I'm curious to see about him with the ring. I mean, granted, he's in phenomenal shape, so I'm not taking that.
He's not going to embarrass himself. I'm sure he is. Listen, he's in phenomenal shape. It's his cardio that would be the thing, but I'm sure that he is not going to go out there and embarrass himself or look anything less than dominant.
No, and that's my whole thing. But I want to go quickly now through what we have coming up in night number 2, because again, you thought night 1 was going to be insane. Night 2 is only going to get more insane. And this one, I want to get your thoughts on this one first. Seth freaking Rollins versus Drew McIntyre for the World Heavyweight title.
I think McIntyre deserves his WrestleMania moment with people in the stands. And I think they're going to use the excuse that Seth was so sidetracked with everything going on with Cody and The Rock, and it's going to cost him. And I think Drew deserves his. Unfortunately, he won at COVID Mania in front of nobody. But what he's doing now is great. His heel stuff, and I think it's McIntyre.
Well, first of all, my question was, what do you think about McIntyre's work right now that he's doing?
It's great. He seems like someone who's legitimately pissed. Like, he's pissed. he's like, I got screwed. I'm sick of being I'm sick of being a fan. I'm sick of everything. I'm pissed. I'm gonna call everybody out on their crap, like Punk, and say, it's great. It's really entertaining.
And then the other also variable with this match that people are forgetting, Money in the Bank, Damian Priest.
That's right.
Does he pull the ultimate card here and cash in? Because I know that was a few people have said that in the comment section today.
What is his timeline?
I think he has until Money in the Bank, which is in June.
He has 1 year.
I think he has 1 year from when he won it.
Right.
And I think, honestly, people forget he is from South Jersey.
True.
I mean, you want to talk about having a moment? There's your moment right there.
Yeah, I mean, it could be, but I'd like to see McIntyre have the moment more.
Oh, I would agree with that 100%. Especially, I love the fact that he wore the shirt a couple weeks ago of him over, when he with his face on the guy who was standing right by the grave.
Yeah,
I was laughing on that one. I'm like, of course,
yeah,
true. But I want to keep things moving.
Old school heel stuff.
We talked about Io Sky and Bailey a little bit before. I think we're both kind of in agreement that Io Sky is.
I lost you. Uh-oh, baby, we're having some technical difficulties, if you will, on the mothership station, baby. Don't worry about it, John, baby. I'll take it from here. This is all the entertainment you need, if you will. John is he's dropped out. I think they they heard him talking about the bathroom break match, and they got angry. No, there's his little icon there. But he was talking about Bailey. Baby, Bailey is one of my NXT kids, if you will. And I don't see Bailey losing. Oh,
I'm back. Sorry about that. For some reason, I appreciate what holding the fort for me. What happened was, for some reason, my laptop, if I let it keep it charged too long, it cuts off, and it doesn't give me a warning. Say, by the way, you're about to overheat. It literally just cut me off.
Yeah.
But I appreciate you, holding the fort down for me right now.
No worries.
Like I said, we talked about Io and Bailey, but I want to keep things moving here because now we got LA Knight and AJ Styles, or as I call it, LA Knight, the guy who got arrested doing the exact same thing Triple H did to Randy Orton 10 years ago. How do you see this one playing out?
Nah, LA Knight, he can't. LA Knight to me hasn't been the same since he lost to Roman. And another loss at WrestleMania would even do worse things. And we talked about before, thinking about the future. Nothing is going to make AJ look bad. They're going to have a phenomenal match. And, LA Knight, for his future, he needs to win. And I think he will.
Yeah, I would. I think honestly, if I'm LA Knight and you win this, it kind of puts you in hopefully in contention for a title, because let's call a spade here. He should be in the title picture at this point.
Now, listen, he headlined that pay-per-view. And, he didn't win, and he didn't beat Roman, but no one's beaten Roman.
But apparently, he did it for The Rock. And we got a triple threat match for the United States Championship. Logan Paul takes on Randy Orton and Kevin Owens. Which, by the way, I think, is it this pay-per-view where it starts? Or I know it's coming up soon, where they're going to, and I only thought about this because I happen to see Logan Paul's name, where they're going to have a picture of the Prime bottle on the ring.
Oh, lovely.
Hey, I like Prime Energy Drink. It's not bad.
I mean, they don't make enough money. They need to make more money on advertising on the ring too.
Of course they do.
I mean, it's happened everywhere in sports. I'm not a fan of it, but it's good for business, baby. Go to the pay window.
But how do you see this one playing out?
Oh, it's got to be Kevin Owens. It's got to be Kevin Owens. We've had enough of Logan Paul. Kevin Owens has got to get his revenge. and he's deserving of it. You know, Randy winning doesn't do much. He's already a Hall of Famer. You know, I would say Kevin Owens.
I would honestly, I definitely agree with you. I think Logan Paul drops it here. I wouldn't mind Randy getting it for a little bit, and then we get Randy and Kevin.
Coming out of me. You want to push? I don't know if it's smart. You're going to push Logan Paul out of the picture after they just signed that deal with Prime, and
that's well, no, because I think from what I heard, supposedly, and again, this is only supposedly, the plan is for him to go after whoever is holding the Universal title at SummerSlam.
But yeah, I could see that, him bigger and better things. Yeah, sure.
Now we got in a 6-man Philadelphia street fight, because I forgot these two teams were still feuding with each other. The Pride, Bobby Lashley, Angelo Dawkins, and Montez Ford with B-Fab, which I forgot B-Fab's still with WWE. Taking on the Final Testament, which, by the way, I love that name.
Yeah.
Of Karrion Kross, Akam, and Razor with Scarlett and Paul Ellering in their corner. As much as I hate to say it, I think both these teams are talented teams. I don't want to take that away from them. But I don't know if there's that much interest in this match because these guys have been feuding for it feels like forever.
Yeah, it has. I mean, I guess, you know, the end of it is going to be a Mania. I'm going to say Final Testament. I think there's in a surprise. I think there are going to be some surprises, and I could see them. I see them over Lashley and Street Profits.
I mean, my thing is, I hope whoever wins this, I hope they actually do something with the tag team.
Yeah,
because like what I can see, if you go Final Testament, and you do it right. Not to hate to say this, but I think you can easily set up. I can see a scenario playing out where Cross, Akam, Razor, and Scarlett are all holding titles at some point.
Mm.
And I don't think, and unfortunately, as much as I love Karrion Kross and I love his look and everything, unfortunately with him, I see him, I hate to say this, no higher than the IC title right now.
Well, you got to start somewhere.
I mean, my thing is, if he shaved his head and went the bald route again, I think that'd be perfect. Because I remember at the Royal Rumble when he was in there, and, you know, he has long hair now. I was with Ryan at the time, and I looked at him, I go, I didn't know CM Punk came back twice in the match because he had that CM Punk look.
Yeah.
But now it's time to get to the main event, night 2, where Cody Rhodes takes on Roman Reigns for the WWE Universal Championship, which also, by the way, Roman will set history on Sunday because Saturday he will be tying Hogan for the most WrestleMania main event appearances. And on Sunday, he's going to break the record with 9.
That's not going to work for me, brother.
I got it. That's who they have Roman drop the belt to, Hogan.
WrestleMania 9 all over again. WrestleMania 9 all over again. Roman beats Cody, and then Hogan comes out to help Cody, and Cody points to the ring. Leg drop. Over.
Oh my! I think if that happens, I think you're going to see the city of Philly burn to the ground.
I'm sure a lot of people would pop for it.
Oh, you get people who are going to pop for it, but you're going to sit there and go. I can see people sitting there going, "Great, 3 years of this, 3 years of building this, and this is your end game."
Hogan is going to say that when they bought WCW, that the creative control was still in. You know, when Vince bought WCW. That's creative control was still in play. So,
but how do you see this? And I know this is the big one. So how do you see this one playing out?
Listen, it's WrestleMania 40. It's time to send the crowd home happy. It's time for Cody. If Cody doesn't do it now, he's the future. He's just signed a new deal. Unfortunately, Roman's health is still up in the air if you want to talk about real life stuff. He on the documentary kind of hinted that he's still taking medicine, and Cody is hotter than he'll ever be. And the Rock and his whole family has already got all their flowers that they'll ever get. They're already telling Roman, no matter, even before this, they're saying Roman has had the best, greatest champion. They've given him so much flowers. It's time for Cody to finish the story. It's well deserved, and it's time for the Rhodes to finally be at the top of the mountain in WWE. And I know I'm super biased, but like I said, the crowd went home very unhappy last year. I wasn't surprised when Cody lost last year. I really wasn't surprised. I totally bet that he wasn't going to win by not going to WrestleMania. Some people thought I was crazy, and I said I don't feel it last year. And then as soon as they announced Philly, I said this is it. I'm going to be there a whole nother year. He's got to go through the hard times. He's going through all the hard times like Dusty did. He's getting beat outside the arena, whipped, bleeding like a pig. It's time. It's time to hand him the keys to the castle. If it doesn't happen, would I be totally shocked? No, and with Triple H being there and booking it, I have more a better feeling about it.
This one is tough because this one I was literally going back and forth in my head today. It was almost like the old ping pong game that you used to play back in the day. Had the two white bars on the end, and you just had the ball going back and forth, back and forth. That was what was going through my brain today. I was like, okay, how do I go about predicting this match? Because there's so many variables in this. I can see it happening both ways. I agree with you. I can see the story finally coming to an end, Cody finally winning. But I can see the other side of it where it's like, I know one of the things they've been trying to do their damnedest is they want to try to put new names into the record books. Because if you look at the record books now, a lot of the guys who are in there, especially with this title, because I think the Universal title is incorporated with the World Heavyweight title. I don't remember how the whole semantics of it plays out. But you got guys like Bruno, guys like Hogan, Bob Backlund. And I'm not taking anything away from them. But I think WWE is looking at it as, well, our fan base now, especially the younger fan base, doesn't necessarily know who Bruno is, who Bob Backlund is.
Excuse me. It's Mr. Bob Backlund.
Mr. Bob Backlund.
Bob Backlund. Get it right.
Mr. Bob Backlund. My whole point is this. Where if they do end up keeping the belt on Roman, I can see the reason being they want to put him into that record book. Because then I think he would end up, if memory serves me right, I think for him to break Hogan, he would have to hold the belt till September sometime, which would then put him, I think, number 3 on the list. 3rd or I don't know. Yeah, he would be 3rd because then Backlund is Mr. Bob Backlund is 2, and Bruno is still obviously number 1.
Oh, so let me go ahead.
But that's the reason why I'm saying I can see it happening from both sides.
So we're gonna make Roman win, so he can break a record and be not even number 1, not even hold the number 1 record. He's still, no matter what, is never going to be as big as Hogan in the industry. I hate as a fact. No matter what he's done. So we're gonna have Roman win just for him to be number 2 or 3 in a record that really wrestling fans now don't care about. And he would surpass Hogan, who it doesn't look like he'd want to erase Hogan anymore because he's showing up at WrestleMania and he's doing meet and greets. And even if he surpasses Hogan, he's still not going to be ever as big as Hogan. to me.
No,
So
I
I don't records in wrestling, records in something that's predetermined is kind of, and if Bruno doesn't lose in the middle of his career, nobody even comes close
no.
to his record. I think this is a good, what they did here, having Roman hold the belt, it's old school, like it used to be. But it doesn't have to surpass. It was probably a mistake having these guys hold the belt that long back in the day.
Oh no, I agree with you 100%. I don't want it to happen because I think honestly at this point, Roman doesn't need the belt anymore. And I think honestly, you can let Roman take time. I mean, granted, he doesn't work. He works maybe one day every 3 months, so it's not like he's working. It's not like he has a Hogan schedule or a Backlund schedule or even a Bruno schedule.
He's still traveling.
Oh no, he's still traveling. I'm not taking
Which
that away
is
from him.
a lot of it. A lot of it's to travel. I know the bumps and everything like that. But a lot of it's to travel. He's still doing the media. He's still doing the filming. He might not be wrestling as much, but he's still got to be there all the time.
And no, I agree with everything you're saying. I'm just looking at it from both sides
Right.
of the fence here, but I think realistically, I think when I'm live again next week, recapping all this stuff, I'm gonna say this right now. I seriously am hoping that I'm saying Cody Rhodes, your new WWE Universal Champion. I'm really hoping because at this point, like I said before, Roman doesn't need that belt anymore. He's done enough for that belt.
Yeah.
He's given enough credibility. But then here comes the interesting question now. You let Roman drop the belt to Cody. Who is Cody's first opponent out of Mania? Because I know their first event after Mania is Backlash France.
Does Roman get a rematch? Or is it Randy? Is it McIntyre? Is it? It could be anybody. Is it Logan?
Well, I got one that could be interesting. If Cody does, if Cody does win. Remember we were talking before about Seth and Drew? Why not it be Seth? To have Seth be so pissed off that he can make the argument of, the argument could be made from him. Hey, look, I helped you get to this moment that I lost the title that I carried. I want first dibs at that.
I mean, I think they'll work together again, but I don't see it because they've already had those 3 matches and it loses its luster. I think it'd have to be a better feud than, I think it's kind of been like, well, we've seen this already. Obviously it looks like Punk and McIntyre are building their feud for the future.
I can't wait for that.
I mean, I could see, I do see Randy. I mean, finally the student and the teacher again,
I can easily. I mean, if
could be a newcomer, could be MJF.
Yeah. Hey, never say never because we do got
never
that.
Say never in wrestling. I mean, you don't know. You don't know who it could be. It could be anybody. But there'll always be, I think Cody could work with anybody. But don't go that. Don't say, oh well, if he wins now what? Enjoy the now. Figure that he wins. He's winning that world title that his family never won. That Dusty never won. Dusty wouldn't go work for Vince. Dusty had to wear polka dots. Dustin had to be Goldust. Cody had to be Stardust. The poster behind you, the all-in poster, Cody had to leave and come back and tear his freaking, and tear his pec and lose at Mania. Think about everything that's led up to, the history, The Rock, the fans pretty much saying, I don't want to see Roman for The Rock. There's no story there. You guys are just going to have you guys are going to come in and have a circle jerk in WrestleMania after all we've been through with Cody. You guys are going to come in and say we're the best and have a match with nothing behind it. It's the and I always say it's WrestleMania 40. This is the time to send that fans home happy in Philly. And there's going to be a lot of Roman fans, but I think it's with Cody, it's like I don't know who you root for in sports, but go back to it's like when the Cubs or the Red Sox, when they finally win after everything they've been through, all their fans have been through. When those teams finally win the championship, it's just special. It's just special. And there's no better time for me than WrestleMania 40 to have that special moment with him. And I think if he doesn't win, he got stronger in a year after losing. But, people are saying that he needs to win in the Garden because Dusty lost in the Garden. The true story about Dusty was never winning that belt because he would not agree to work for Vince full time. He came in as a special attraction. And he sure as hell wasn't winning the belt in 1989 with the polka dots because Hogan and Warrior were going at it. So Dusty kind of didn't win the belt really because of Dusty and his decisions to not go all in on Vince in the late 70s and 80s.
I never knew. I always heard about the whole thing with Dusty with that belt at the Garden, but I never actually knew the actual backstory.
Well, Dusty came in and, they agreed, Mike Graham in Florida, that Dusty would come up. And Vince wanted Dusty to be the next big face champion. And Dusty didn't, from what I've read in interviews and all the things I've seen and heard, he rather worked for Jim Crockett because he had booking power. And he booked that stuff with him and Flair. And he wasn't going to be able to do that in WWF. And he wanted to produce, he wanted to book, he wanted to do a little bit of everything. He didn't want to be tied down to being, the champion at WWF at the time.
I never actually knew. Like I said, I'd known of the whole thing because I know they kept talking about it a lot, especially when Cody came back. They showed the picture and everything, but nobody had ever actually explained the actual backstory.
Yeah, and then do the timeline. That's 1977. And then it's he would Superstar Billy Graham. Dusty didn't want to go work full time for Vince because he had more opportunity with Crockett. And then once Hogan broke in, that was it. Vince had picked because back in the day, look how long these guys held the belt. So maybe Dusty would have held that belt for years and years and years.
No,
but,
I've always said, just talking about Dusty for a second, favorite match, favorite feud of Dusty was him and Ric Flair.
I mean, yeah, him and Flair is some of the best feud ever. And that stuff doesn't happen if Dusty stays with Vince and stays with WWF. But
absolutely not.
That's a whole moment in history. I mean, it's a big that whole shape form of history of professional wrestling. But and then later on, the Rhodes kind of felt, or people felt, that the McMahons always had sour grapes, that Dusty didn't, that he chose Jim Crockett over WWF. So, you want a job? Wear polka dots. Oh, your son wants to come in? Goldust. Oh, your other son is pretty much Intercontinental, going to the next level? Stardust. So the whole thing was, maybe McMahon did have still after all those years, had a chip on his shoulder with the Rhodes. That he would bring them in and they would make money and they would do well, but they were never at the tippy top.
Wow, I learned something new tonight on this show. Never.
You got to do your history, baby.
Well, Dusty, I'll say this much. One of my favorite, I said it before, Cody and Dustin, all, Double or Nothing, first one. The one thing I've always said, and we can do this, another time we'll go more into this, but I've always said to me, when you look at if you talk about most influential family in pro wrestling, I think the Rhodes family has to be on that list.
Oh, definitely they're on the list. There's a lot of families on the list. Growing up, we didn't realize how much of a family business this really is. I mean, I never knew of, Mr. Perfect's father and Greg Valentine's father. And, I didn't even know that Scotty 2 Hotty was Jerry the King Lawler's son until they broke kayfabe. Wrestling is a family business. There's a lot of great families. And I think when Cody was like, wrestling has more than one royal family, it's not just the Rhodes. It's the Funks, it's the Grahams, it's the Von Erichs. It can't just be McMahon. It can't be one person controlling, which it was at one point, controlling the whole industry. And that's how AEW was created.
Well, I would say this much. Like I said, further down, probably after Mania, I want to definitely do a Mount Rushmore of most influential families. And I think, honestly, for me, I don't even think the McMahon family makes a list for me. But like I said, I'll hold up on that for another time.
Yes.
But, Dusty, I appreciate you hopping on with me tonight. You're more than welcome to stay on. We're more than welcome to stay on for a little bit longer. I mean, we'll wrap up the show in a few minutes anyways.
You have questions or comments? Those people are like, oh, you can't read them.
Well, no, I can read them. The problem is a lot of them were asking about this coming weekend with the stuff happening in ECW, which I'll get to that momentarily. But I do want to make some programming notes because, Dusty, this network's getting a little busy, to say the least. Or let me rephrase that. I'm having my own version of, not hard times, but I'm having my own version of my dream, because this coming Thursday I will be appearing on another podcast, DJ Storms, as we will be previewing Supercard of Honor and Stand and Deliver this Thursday 7:30. Go follow DJ Storms on all social media accounts. Again, I know that's a collaboration a lot of people have been waiting for. This coming Friday, as you mentioned before, Born to Die happened at 1 o'clock, and Tribute to the Extreme happening at, I think, 8 o'clock as well. So we got that coming up on Friday. Also on Friday at the Block Party, Around Those Podcasts will be live. So in case you're not able to make it, you can watch me live. I'll try to get as many of the people on as I can, and we'll go from there. On Saturday, almost there, I will be doing a watch-along from the watch-along party at the ECW Arena. That's my way. That picture right there is my way of pointing to the sign without actually pointing to the WrestleMania sign.
It's an extreme watch-along.
Actually, that's not a bad title for it, to be honest. Then, Dusty, there's another company that I have a good relationship with, and it's called Dynasty. I don't know if you ever heard of them.
I've definitely heard of them.
Not Dynasty, what AEW is doing on April 21st. That's a different one. But the week leading up to it, I made the announcement earlier this week. I can now officially announce it. From April 21st to April 26th, I am coining it as Dynasty Week, where I will have as many of the talent on this program, either pre-recorded interviews or live, to get everybody ready for the show. And that will be happening. That show's happening on April 27th. We do have, you can see it. Oh, somebody just said nice photo. Thank you. I don't know which photo you're talking about because I just put up like 4 or 5 photos. But thank you. Anything else that's coming up here? Let me see something. No. Other than that, it was basically. Then one of the other companies that I work with, called Immortal Championship Wrestling, is running a show July 13th. It was announced Minoru Suzuki will be there. So definitely that, I think, is going to be live on IWTV as well. Let's see here. I know we have one more comment coming in here. Oh, okay. The photo he was mentioning his name is Andrew Edler. He's one of the photographers for Dynasty. He was talking about the photo of me doing this from the thumbnail for the Extreme Watch Along. So thank you, Andrew. I appreciate that a lot. But guys, tonight was a fun show. It was a freaking blast. And I did find out, by the way, Dream, and I can tell you this now because it was announced. I found out what's open in the show Friday night.
I'll be there.
I found out what's open.
Do you think they'll let me bring in? I mean, it is ECW arena. You think they'll let me bring in my bull rope and cowbell in the arena? If I promise not to hit anybody.
Well, I mean, I would think so. but the announcement was made earlier tonight that there will be a Hall of Fame induction ceremony to open up the show Friday night. Team 3D are getting inducted into 2300 Arena Hall of Fame.
That's awesome.
And they will have, and Tim announced it when he was on with me earlier, which again, folks, if you missed any of tonight's show, I know there was a lot of stuff that happened. Go back to our YouTube page, go back to our Facebook page, definitely check it out. It is a lot of stuff. But like I said, guys, this is the start of an incredibly busy week. I have the show tonight. I'm going to be on with DJ Storms on Thursday. Apparently, I found out today I will be live. At least I'll be covering the two shows, all three shows on Friday. Not sure if I'm going to be live for all three shows, because I don't know if my head can take that much time being on the camera. Then I'll be live Saturday night for the watch along. I'll be live Sunday night for the watch along. And folks, yes, I'm telling you right now, even though I'm going to be live basically every day this week, I will be live again next Tuesday for the show. So that ain't going to stop. But Dream, I appreciate you hopping on with me tonight.
Anytime, my brother. It is fun.
It was a blast. I figured how appropriate, since the biggest storyline is Cody, how appropriate to have Dusty on with us.
No, but yeah, I mean, if you see me in Philly this weekend, come say hello. I want to count how many pictures I take with the fans. I'll be wearing all 4 or 5 of my Dusty outfits. I'll be at 2300 Arena. I'm going to try and do as much as I can and get around. Hopefully when Cody wins the belt, he calls me down and he hands it to me, and I grab onto it and I give it, like the Bret Hart kiss. And then I put it around his waist.
Hey, never know.
Might as well fantasy book,
Why not? Hey, I didn't think I'd ever be in the ECW arena doing a podcast.
Baby, reach for the stars, baby. Listen, crazier things have happened with me. I just show up. You never know what's going to happen. He got so overwhelmed. I said, look at it this way. If Cody loses, I'm going to cry. If Cody wins, I'm going to cry. So if you're watching WrestleMania Night 2, you're probably going to see, they're probably going to pan to me crying at some point. Either way, the outcome. Either happy tears or hard time blues. Baby, the hard time blues, if you will. I hope John really figures out his technical stuff, because he's got watch-alongs, galore. And you got to get this fixed before your 100 watch-alongs that you're about to do.
Yeah, it's called make sure my plug is not, that once my laptop is fully charged.
I was saying, no matter WrestleMania Night 2, either way, I'm going to cry. If Cody loses, I'm going to cry. And if Cody wins, I'm going to cry. So my goal is for WWE to get me on camera crying. Either way, I'm going to cry.
All I know is, Dusty, it's going to be a fun weekend. Either way.
It's going to be a fun weekend. I'm going to get some sleep, because I'm probably going to get about maybe 3 to 4 hours of sleep a night in Philly.
But for Dusty, I'm John. This has been Around the Ropes regular episode. Guys, this is the first of many times you're going to see me on camera this week, so get used to seeing this beautiful mug. See you guys next time.